Hey, it's Jay, and welcome back, finally, to the Star Wars Chronicle. This is Chapter 8, where we will be looking at the next two episodes in the Clone Wars, Season 1, Episode 7, and Episode 8. We're going to start with Episode 7, which is titled Duel of the Droids. So, let's get started. As we left off, R2-D2 is in the hands of the Separatists after being captured during a battle, and he's able to, after he escaped, in the last episode, he's able to give away the position of Grievous's listening post to send a signal. Anakin receives this signal, and Obi-Wan thinks that Anakin needs to wait for backup, don't go into this blind, but Anakin is in such a rush to save R2 because of all the Republic secrets that are kept on R2's memory bank. He goes against Obi-Wan's wishes and assembles a small crew to go retrieve R2. When Ga Noct realizes what information is on R2, he demands a higher price point from General Grievous because, hey, this has Republic secrets on it. This isn't just something you can give me, chump change for. And General Grievous agrees, and like a true baddie, he literally stabs Ga Noct in the back with a lightsaber. So now it is known that R2 has very, very sensitive information in regards to Republic battle strategies. So, our team arrives at the station, and Anakin splits up from Ahsoka and the rest of the droids to go and try to find R2 on his own. However, it is revealed, and I fucking knew it, R3-S6 is actually a Separatist spy and alerts General Grievous to their location, causing them to have to fight off some droids. And Grievous commands his Magna drones to take R2 back to his ship. So even though they're so close, they're also so far in retrieving our little buddy R2. So, while the battle with Ahsoka and the clones are going on with the droids, Anakin actually ends up finding R2 and takes out the Magna guards that are escorting him back to Grievous's ship. And he orders everybody to rendezvous at the south hangar. However, due to some faulty connectivity, Ahsoka doesn't hear him. And she finds herself in the clutches of General Grievous. And she fights with him and is able to hold her own, but has to hide because obviously she's not going to be able to keep this up because General Grievous is a very powerful warrior. And she hides in a room with some spare droid parts, but Goldie gives her away. And Grievous is able to catch her and destroy her comlink. Now there's no connection to Ahsoka at all. When everybody rendezvous back at their ship, the Twilight, they realize that S3 was a traitor this whole time when he sicked some droids on them, my apologies. And Anakin's like, R2, you gotta try to open these hangar doors because S3 closed the doors to make sure that they couldn't escape. And Anakin had ordered the clones, who now is only Rex and Denal who are left standing after Grievous's confrontation with them, to rig the ship, Grievous's ship, with explosives. So now it looks like Ahsoka's on her own. Gotta try to figure out how to get out of Grievous's clutches here. So, Grievous, in a very sneaky move, suspends himself from the ceiling and is able to grab Ahsoka by the throat. And he's able to see her lightsaber. And while she's gasping for air, he reveals that, once he destroys her, Anakin is next. But Ahsoka is like, Anakin's still going to destroy the ship. I have no doubt that he's still going to succeed in that mission. And true to Anakin's form, even though there are some of his own men on that ship, he orders Rex to rig the explosives and let him go off, even though he knows that there are troops in there. And Grievous is positive that S3 has got them all trapped, so he's not really fearing them capturing him or doing anything like that to sabotage his plan until, of course, Anakin rigs those explosives to blow. So, we'll have to see what happens next. So, Rex complies and blows up and sets off the explosions, And the shakes from the explosions actually loosen Grievous's grip on Ahsoka's throat, and she's able to grab her lightsaber and slice his hand off and escape into the vents. And Grievous furiously slashes at this vent, but Ahsoka is able to avoid those strikes and meet up with the rest of the crew. And after defeating some Vulture droids, they depart in the twilight. Anakin gets into a starfighter to go retrieve R2, and Grievous, before he can succumb to the explosion, escapes in his ship, Solus 1. So even though they blew up the ship, Grievous slipped away yet again. So, back with our heroes, R2 manages to open the hangar doors to allow our heroes to escape. However, R3 tries to stop him, and the Duel of the Droids takes place, and they fight, and while R2 gets the upper hand and throws S3 off the edge, S3 kind of uses like a grappling hook type weapon to take R2 with him. However, R2, with the quick thinking he has, severs that rope, and S3 falls into a debris field and is destroyed by the debris. So it looks like now the R2 is reunited with Anakin again, and mission was a success. However, Obi-Wan, kind of scolds Anakin, being like, I can't believe you risked this mission. You risked your men over a droid. And Anakin's like, he's not just a droid, he's my friend. And that's how the episode ends. This was a really great episode because, as I've been talking about with relationships a lot, this really showed Anakin and R2's relationship. And again, I still question why Obi-Wan's just like, it's just a droid, why are you so attached to this thing? And it's like, dude, you were there in The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. How do you not know why Anakin is so attached to R2? That didn't make any sense to me, but I loved Anakin's just determination to find R2, because he's treating him more than just a droid that could be wiped at any moment. He keeps the memory files on there as like maybe a battle strategy, albeit a bit of a risky one. He still does it because it's Anakin, and that determination's great. It's also nice seeing Ahsoka being able to hold her own against somebody like General Grievous. I know he gets the upper hand and starts choking her, but she never backed down. She wasn't like, all right, I surrender. She was still like, yeah, you know what? Fuck you, dude. Anakin's still probably going to destroy you any minute now. I don't care if I die, but you're not going to succeed in your mission. And I thought that was really cool because, she's a young Padawan, so those characters usually have the stereotype of they think they're the toughest thing ever, and then they can't defeat shit. Where at least Ahsoka can actually hold her own in the field of battle, and I really appreciate that character arc that we have for her. So that was really nice. And it's nice to see General Grievous continue being his slimy self, where he stabs Gon-Noct in the back, literally, and just how he he flees the ship and everything like that. Doesn't go down with the ship. In this case, the captain doesn't go down with the ship. But I knew it. I called R3 S6, whatever the hell his name, Golden. I'm just gonna call him Goldie. I called that. I knew that he was working with it. I know it probably was an easy find, an easy guess on my part, but still, I think it's cool that I got it right, seeing as I was never really a Star Wars fan before I started doing this Chronicle. I thought that was, good for me. I was able to predict that. But, he was a little bastard, and he tried to take down R2, one of the best characters in Star Wars. So, it's great to see R2's versatility as well, and his intelligence in battle, because even though Goldie's supposed to be this advanced model, I know we haven't seen him fulfill that role, but that's only because he was sabotaging. I feel like even though, he's been sabotaging, he probably is a lot more advanced than R2, just given that he's a more updated model. But it's nice to see R2 still has that brain power to cut the rope, or is able to overpower R3-S6. I thought that was really, really cool. Yeah, that's really all I have to say about this episode, because nothing really interesting happens. I mean, I didn't mean it that way. I meant nothing in terms of that set of characters happens, where it's, Ahsoka versus Grievous in a really tough situation where a young Padawan is taking on somebody who's very experienced like Grievous, or whether it be Anakin up to his old ways again, where no matter what the cost, he's got to succeed in that mission, and it paid off because he reunited everybody. Yes, they lost some clones, but that was at the hands of Grievous. There was nothing he could do about that. But yeah, it was a really interesting episode, and I'm happy that R2 is back, safe and sound. But now we get to the next episode, which is the first in a trilogy, Bombad Jedi. We'll be looking at the other two parts in the next chapter of the Chronicle. So let's get started with that one. So this episode's going to focus mainly on Padme, and she's trying to gain more alliance members for the Republic for this big war. And she travels to Rhodia to persuade Senator Anaconda Farr to join their side. However, there's much more connected relationship between these two. Padme calls this guy Uncle Anno because he helped out her father many years ago, so there's a big bond between these two. You know how there's that one person in your life who's not really your uncle, but you call them that because they've touched you in that way in life. And that's the relationship here. So Padme is horrendously surprised to see that Uncle Anno has already aligned himself with the Separatists. She's accompanied by C-3PO and Jar Jar Binks, despite Palpatine being like, you should probably bring like an armed guard with you, not a useless robot and Jar Jar Binks. And she's like, nah, I'm fine. So after this big shock of finding out her uncle is aligned with the Separatists, he lets Newt Gunray know that she's there, and his guards, Uncle Otto's guards, lock her up for Newt Gunray to come see her for herself, because he knows what Padme can do. So he's like, don't take any chances, lock her up, let me talk to her personally. So, with the worst duo ever to put together, Jar Jar and 3PO are in a lot of trouble because, droids are coming to arrest them. And Jar Jar meddles with this massive magnet. And while he destroys the droids, good for Jar Jar, he also destroys their freaking ship. So now they have no way of contacting Obi-Wan or Anakin or anybody to come try to help. So now they're fleeing from the droids. But Jar Jar puts on a Jedi robe, most likely belonging to Anakin, at least that's the theory here, and all the droids think that a Jedi is present. And this actually intimidates a lot of the Separatists because, Jedi have shown to be very, very powerful. And word travels around very quickly that a Jedi has landed on Rhodia. Jar Jar escapes the droids through like this sewer grate, has to run away from a marine monster, swim away I should say, but he's able to outmaneuver because, it's Jar Jar. He's very good in the water. Padme, hearing the news of a Jedi arriving, uses that to bluff her way out of her shackles, in which she uses a key that she kept stored in her boot to unlock the chains, feigning that it was a Jedi who was unlocking the shackles for her, being like, oh, thank you so much, powerful Jedi. And the droids, being the silly droids they are, check to see what's going on, only for Padme to kick their asses and blast them to hell to escape. So now there's a Jedi on this planet, and they're trying to figure out who it is. So Padme actually meets up with 3PO and saves him, but she's very, very upset to find out that the supposed Jedi that has arrived on the planet is Jar Jar Binks. And she tells 3PO, just go try to find some communication so we can call for help. Newt Gunray arrives on Rhodia and promises the supplies, because the reason why Anno aligned with the Separatists is because they promised supplies that the Republic could not. And he's like, those supplies are coming, but you need to execute Padme first. And Anno, protests that, like, nah, he's like, I can't do that. But Newt Gunray's like, this is under my protection now, so do you want my protection or not? You gotta execute Padme. And I think that finally gets him thinking, like, shit, maybe I shouldn't have aligned myself with the Separatists. So a lot of inner conflict is now starting to come forward in this episode, and I dig it. So Jar Jar goes to rescue Padme, and he is again confronted by droid soldiers, and he jumps into the water again, and they fire thermal rockets at him. And as he's swimming away, that big marine monster we met before actually ends up eating Jar Jar, but not for the reason you think. This marine monster has extremely thick hide and is able to withstand the blasts from these thermal rockets, so he actually saves Jar Jar's life. And the two become the bestest of friends. However, again, they see this guy and they're like, oh my god, it's the Jedi. I don't know how anybody hasn't figured out that Jar Jar's not a Jedi, but hopefully they figure out soon. So 3PO finally manages to send out a distress signal, and a line of droidicas meet up, or corner, 3PO and Padme, and are about to execute them when Jar Jar and the marine monster burst out from the swamp and are ready to take on the whole force. In the ensuing chaos, and Anaconda, God, I couldn't say that, sneaks up behind Padme and puts her at gunpoint, who has Newt Gunray at gunpoint because his ship got knocked into the swamp by a marine monster. And in the ensuing chaos, it's revealed that they've been working together, and Anaconda has tricked Newt Gunray into this little trap here, and he's placed under arrest after pledging allegiance to the Republic. So Newt Gunray is arrested, and they are able to gain yet another ally in the battle that is yet to come. So a Republic cruiser responds to 3PO's call for help, and they're able to arrest Newt Gunray. And Palpatine via hologram promises Rhodia supplies that they needed, so they can ensure that trust is still there. And Jar Jar, even though it was fun to play a Jedi, Jar Jar's like, at the end of the day, I'm just a Gungan. Padme thanks him for saving her, and he's like, yeah, Misa just a Gungan, or whatever the hell he says. Onaconda is like, can you ever forgive me, Padme, for turning on you like that? And Padme's like, at the end of the day, it really needs to be the Republic that needs to see that we don't need the most powerful allies on our side to win this war. We just need allies who are ready to fight and have a strong head and a strong system, because that builds alliances, and that's how the episode ends. So, you all know I love Padme, and she just does some badass things in this episode yet again, like escaping from the chains and tricking the droids into thinking that she's being saved by this all-powerful Jedi. Of course, Jar Jar's a bumbling idiot in this episode, like he always is. But you know what? Not the worst. Not the worst of Jar Jar. I know Jar Jar's probably my least favorite character in Star Wars right now, but he wasn't too bad. He actually was, being productive. I know he destroyed their ship, but he was able to slip, into the water, avoid those thermal rockets, recruit the marine monster to their side. He actually did a lot in this episode, so good for Jar Jar. You went about this much on my likability scale. I also really love the inner struggle that Onaconda is feeling when he was promised these supplies by the Separatists. And, I don't necessarily blame him. I really don't. If you need supplies and one side is not promising you any and the other side is, of course you're going to go with the side that is promising to get you the supplies you need. Of course, you also have to look at the character of that side, but I don't necessarily blame him or call him an idiot for, siding with the Separatists. Desperate times call for desperate measures. If he needs these supplies and someone's promising it to them, he's going to go for it. And, I thought that was a really great inner struggle because, once you start to see him being like, maybe I made a mistake, after Nute Gunray's like, yeah, execute Padme, and then we'll talk about these supplies. It's like, this isn't a give or take type thing. This is my allegiance to your cause. You can't be telling me to execute somebody when I'm already fighting for you in this case scenario. So that was a really cool way that he set up the Nute Gunray. And, just a really cool inner struggle there. And yet again, the Republic shows their versatility in gaining allies. Instead of having outlandish demands like Nute Gunray asking Onaconda to literally execute somebody and somebody he cares about, they use common sense and they show it. They're like, look, this is what you're aligning with. And, we forgive you. We get it. You're in a tough situation and you need supplies, and we understand that. But that's what you're working for, and it's never a good sign to sign with the Separatists. So, again, they're using their versatility instead of just trying to intimidate them or force them to do things to gain their allegiance or their supplies. They're using their quick thinking on how to actually make people feel like they belong in an alliance, and they're not just, as I've used many times before, pawns in a game. They're actually useful pieces that they need for trade routes or, base camps, anything like that. So while there weren't many characters in this episode, the characters they showed off were really, really cool. I love the relationship between Jar Jar and the marine monster, because you think it's this big threat that's trying to actually eat Jar Jar, but when he actually does end up eating Jar Jar, it's not because he wants to kill Jar Jar, it's because he wants to protect him. So I thought that was pretty cool. And the whole skit of the entire episode where they think Jar Jar's this Jedi because he has the robe on was really funny. I thought that because it's only because it was Jar Jar. If it was any other character, I don't think it would have worked, because Jar Jar's this bumbling idiot who a lot of people hate. So to see him this intimidating just because he has this robe on, it was a really funny mood to the episode where these Separatists are like, whoa, it's a Jedi, we can't mess with them. So an overall really great 2 episodes, and I can't wait to see where this leads for the next 2 episodes, which will be next week in the Star Wars Chronicle. But make sure you guys stay tuned, because right after this I'm going to be watching Falcon Winter Soldier Episode 5, and that will be coming out early next week. Yeah, on the day of this was recorded, I should say, because it's Friday. I know it's coming out on Saturday, but, meta. But, yeah, I'm really happy that I was able to get back into this. Of course, it might take a back seat a couple of times because, a couple more movies are coming out soon on HBO Max and all these other streaming sites that I want to check out too to get reviews on my channel. But I'm happy I'm able to get back into this because I missed this series. It was fun to pick up where our heroes left off with R2 being captured, and now the Republic has gained more allies, and so they're doing a great job. I can't believe I still have 6 seasons to watch of the Clone Wars though, but I signed up to do it and I'm not going to stop. So Chronicle is going to be going on for a while now. So, yeah, hope you guys are excited for that, because I certainly am. But make sure you guys stay tuned for your MC Reviewed, and like, share, comment, subscribe, all that stuff really helps me out. And until next time, guys, that's a wrap.